From the heart of America, where hard work, freedom, and faith still define who we are. From the farms to the factories, from small towns to city streets, this is the fight for the soul of our nation.
We're watching Democrats attack democracy. Do not be fooled.
The strength, the grit, the greatness of the American spirit, all right here.
The left wanted power, not peace, but there's a resistance rising. A generation saying enough, enough. We've tried it their way, and it failed.
The Steve Gruber Show with your host, Steve Gruber, starts right now.
All right, let's get busy now. We've got another packed show for you here today as we march into it. Fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom, putting America first every day, telling you the truth when others won't even cover the story. Here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, the U.S. Army has increased the maximum age to enlist all the way up to 42. That's in large part because young people are frankly too fat to qualify. How unacceptable. Time to eat real food and get in shape, folks. Number two, gas at some stations in California almost $9 a gallon today, even though oil prices have fallen below $90 a barrel, which leads me to believe this is all a big cash grab for oil companies. Prove me wrong. And number three, one, the biggest and oldest con jobs in American politics unfolding right before our eyes again. Every single election cycle, every single one. Democrats put on their fake moderate suits, slick back their hair, and look straight into the camera and deliver those phony smiles and say, don't worry, middle-class America. They say, we're only going after the wealthy, the billionaires, the fat cats. We are the party of the people. But the second they get sworn in, that mask falls off. The knives come out, and guess who gets carved up? You, me, and the working-class voters who put them there. The truck driver in Virginia trying to keep the lights on. The family in Philly scraping together mortgage payments. The small business owner in New York who just wants to hand his house to his kids. They promise moderation and deliver Marxism every damn time. And right now, in 2026, we've got fresh exhibits A, B, and C just to prove it. Start with Virginia's brand new governor, Abigail Spanberger. She ran as a reasonable former federal officer and mom, the moderate Democrat who is going to bring the folks together again. I'll work across the aisle, she said. Common sense over ideology, she said. But her first move out of the gate, she terminates every single agreement with ICE. Completely shuts down cooperation with federal immigration enforcement. She tells ICE, if you want this illegal in our jail, you better come with a judicial warrant, not a detainer. A full-blown warrant like they're raiding the mob. And what happens? An illegal immigrant from Sierra Leone named Abdul Jallo, someone with 30 previous arrests, gets released from custody as now the murder suspect responsible for stabbing a mother to death at a bus stop in Fairfax County. Her name, by the way, was Stephanie Minter, a 41-year-old working mom just trying to get home. And now her mother, Cheryl, has this message for those who will listen. Here it is.
Change has got to happen with this. It's just got to. I don't know where all these political people are. I mean, they stopped serving citizens. They just stopped. And I'm not quite sure how they get voted in.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure either. Middle-class families, women like Cheryl and her daughter Stephanie, pay the price when Democrats like Abigail Spanberger play politics with criminals. That's not moderation. That's open borders insanity dressed up as compassion. But while she's soft on crime, she's tough on gun owners, despite her campaign promises to the contrary. This is how she presented herself back during the campaign. Listen.
A family where responsible gun ownership was the norm. My dad went to work with a gun on his hip every single day. We had guns in the house. My uncle was an avid hunter. As a federal agent myself, I carried a firearm every day as part of my job. I respect the Second Amendment and don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Well, she respects the Second Amendment, she claimed, but today she's got a stack of 15 brand new gun control bills sitting on her desk. Assault weapons bans, magazine limits, safe storage mandates that turn every law-abiding gun owner into a potential felon if somebody finds their safe key, age restrictions, red flag expansions, the whole radical wish list delivered to her desk. These are the same people who swore during the campaign, nobody's coming for your guns. Tell that to the single mom in Richmond who keeps a pistol in the nightstand because the streets aren't safe anymore because of Democrats' defund the police insanity. Then she rams Virginia right back into the regional greenhouse gas initiative, a green energy scam that only results in one thing: financial ruin. Your electric bill, up. Your gas bill, up. The regulations go into effect this year, and they're expected to cost the state at least $550 million annually. That's on the low side. Middle-class families already squeezed by inflation now get to subsidize solar farms for coastal elites. Spanberger calls it green leadership. I call it a middle-class tax by any other name. Well, factories close and jobs go to states that didn't sell out to the climate cult. And then over in New York, New York City, there's Mayor Zohran Mamdani, the socialist who ran on tax the rich, help the rest. Classic moderate Democrat line, right? Only the wealthy will feel the pinch. Except now he's pushing to jack up property taxes by 10% on everyone. And New Yorkers are not happy about it, not one little bit. Why would they be? Listen.
The mayor, with the greatest respects, in every campaign speech, in every debate where you engage, we opened our ears to listen. Now today, accept the words echoing from us now. Do your job as mayor and leave our taxes out.
Giving only two options. You're saying if we don't tax the rich, then I got to increase property taxes. We are not a pawn in Southeast Queens. We are not part of your negotiation tactics. Zohran Mamdani, you are out your goddamn mind.
Yeah. Mamdani isn't out of his mind. He's following the tried and true Democrat playbook. Promise one thing and deliver something completely different. He's also asking New York to slash the estate tax exemption from over $7 million down to just $750,000. That would be the lowest threshold in the country, while tripling the top rate to 50%. That's right, half to the state plus federal taxes. You'll be too poor to change your mind. What does that mean? It means grandma and grandpa bust their asses for 50 years, pay off the house in Queens, want to leave it to their kids so they don't get crushed by rent. But instead, thanks to Mamdani's plan, government takes half. A $750,000 house in any working class neighborhood suddenly triggers the death tax. He calls it revenue. I call it theft from people who already paid taxes their whole lives. For context, this right here that you're seeing, for those of you on the television and on the streaming platforms, this is an $800,000 home on Staten Island. This is what he's calling wealth. Unbelievable. And while he sips cocktails and kicks off his shoes over at Gracie Mansion and pats himself on the back for doing such a good job, others are suffering. Even other New York Democrats and New York Governor Kathy Hochul are pushing back against his demands, saying it's too much. We're going to get to that in just a moment because I want you to focus on these homes. Go back. Can you pull that picture back up again? Because that is remarkable. The one before that. That's an $800,000 home on Staten Island. That right there. That's wealth. To Mamdani, he'll tax everyone. Moderate Democrats, please. We'll continue this in a moment. Good to see you this morning. Glad you're on board. It's the Steve Gruber Show. All right, back to it now. Like I said, even Democrats are saying, enough with the taxes, Mr. Mayor. You're completely out of control. Democrats like Kathy Hochul saying, it's time to say enough. Listen to this.
I believe that the wealthiest individuals and most profitable corporations should contribute a little bit more so that everyone can live lives of dignity. That's why, along with raising the corporate tax, I'm asking for a 2% raise in personal income taxes on the most affluent New Yorkers.
But the mayor's request raised more than a few eyebrows.
We can't keep raising taxes and have people fleeing.
You're talking about free busing, free childcare, so that's pretty ambitious. The state is in serious fiscal trouble as well.
I have a big concern because of your philosophy. So do you have any concern about that?
I am confident that people will continue to stay in the city. There's no doubt in my mind that what should be driving all of our politics are the needs of working people.
Even those who agreed with Mamdani had questions of their own.
All right, well, we'll grow the pie, and we need to make sure that you have your priorities in order.
Governor Kathy Hochul has ruled out tax increases. Andrew Ryan of the Citizens Budget Commission says Mamdani shouldn't need higher taxes.
Increasing taxes risks alienating and driving away businesses that create jobs and people who disproportionately pay a lot in our taxes that fund our public schools, our police, our sanitation. We need to be competitive. That's why we should hold the line on taxes.
Well, when the press turns on you, you know it's not a good look for you. The New York State Comptroller says it's even more succinctly when he says it's bad for everyone. Here he is.
Think that nationally we should raise the estate tax, both to bring in more revenue and for equity reasons. I think we should be very, very careful about doing it just in New York because people are mobile and they're potentially more mobile later in life when their kids are grown and they may be retired. And it would really undermine the whole purpose of a move like that if people left. We'd actually get less revenue. That would be bad for everybody.
Bad for everybody, but somehow the Democrats keep dressing up these wolves in sheep's clothing and getting away with it. And then there's the mayor in Philadelphia, Sherelle Parker, another pragmatic, moderate Democrat who promised to clean up the city without the crazy left-wing nonsense. And then she proposes $2 billion for her housing plan, which plans on building or repairing 30,000 units, paid for by the very taxpayers already drowning in their own mortgages, property taxes, and grocery bills. Come on. Meanwhile, City Council ramming through tenant protections that basically handcuff landlords to bad tenants forever. And this Philadelphia man, frankly, is sick of it.
I would like to ask Philadelphia, are you tired of voting Democrat yet? This is what communism looks like. You work extremely hard to save your pennies, but buy some property and you can't dictate when you want to evict the tenant. Do you really own your property or not? Tenants can already sue or simply move if it's a problem. But laws after laws scare away independent contractors and create more government-controlled housing. These laws breed entitlement, bad actors, not paying rent, waiting for court dates, squatting on somebody else's property just like Governor Josh Shapiro is doing right now to his neighbors. To the landlords of Philadelphia, when you raise the rents higher up front to cover eviction hassles, I'll understand it. How are you going to tell a small business owner what to do with their own property? How many bad tenants have we seen? Always playing loud music, fighting and harassing neighbors, running drugs out of properties, doing drugs in someone else's property. Are you a small business owner or a caretaker? Are there tenants or are they your children? If the Department of Licenses and Inspections isn't serving good acting tenants properly, then we don't need new laws. We need to restructure the Department of Licenses and Inspections.
You get what you vote for. Of course, he's exactly right about everything he just said there. He was just hammering it. He sees what we all see. Democrats talk moderate and then turn your home into a government rental program and make struggling homeowners foot the bill. This is the pattern, America. They campaign on moderation and fairness. Only the rich, they swear. Then they get power and squeeze the middle class with higher energy costs, gun grabs that leave you defenseless, taxes that hit your inheritance, and housing rules that punish the very people trying to climb the ladder. It's not incompetence, it's the plan. Keep the middle class dependent. Keep the votes flowing. And then, of course, blame Donald Trump and the Republicans when it all fails and collapses like it always does. We've seen it for years, under Obama, under Biden, and now under these new, shiny new moderates. The middle class built this country. That's a fact. It can't afford to let fake moderates turn it into a socialist hellhole. So my message to any Democrat voter who claims to be moderate and comes across this program, wake up. Wake up. November's coming. Vote like your mortgage, your tax bill, and your utility bill depends on it, because, quite clearly, it does. These Democrats don't want to tax the wealthy. They want to tax everybody. They want to tax you. Everybody. And they don't care. All right? And that's the monologue today. A lot of people today are eating less, and that makes nutrition more important than ever. Longevity Wellness helps fill the gaps with a simple daily shake packed with protein, collagen, omega-3s, probiotics, and colostrum. We use it in this house every day, in fact. There's a QR code right there you can click on to find out more. It's supplemental nutrition, and it's designed to support muscle, gut health, brain function, and immunity. You can learn more right now at longevitywellness.co. Use the promo code Gruber to save even more. If you become a subscriber, you'll get a better deal. longevitywellness.co. It's been available across the country to institutions for years. Now it's available to you. longevitywellness.co. Quick glance at the oil price today. It's at $93. It was at $86 yesterday. The point that I'm making here is when I talked about $9 gas at the top of the program, they're gouging. The oil companies are gouging you. Up like a rocket, down like a feather, the prices. Gas, by the way, for the first time down 0.2 cents per gallon overnight. First decrease in a while, so it is hopefully starting to moderate, and hopefully gas and expenses where you are will as well. I'll take a break. Good to have you here. Welcome to this Thursday morning edition of the Steve Gruber Show. All right, so here's a story that was shared with me by a friend who's also a viewer of this program. Something about the DHS shutdown that I'm sure you've not heard anywhere else because nobody else has mentioned this. There are something like 3,000 canine units in DHS. We're at day 40 now of the shutdown, right? The DHS people at TSA, 3,000 dogs, primarily bomb-sniffing dogs, but they also do drugs and other things, and enforcement. All right? They're not getting the money they need to feed the dogs, to take care of the dogs. Food, veterinary services, well-being, upkeep, all of that. These are highly specialized animals. And you know who's paying the bill to keep them fed and to get vet care because they routinely get injured? You know, conveyor belts and other things can injure these dogs on a fairly regular basis. You know who's paying for that? The men and the women that are not being paid by the U.S. government because of the Democrats. It truly is unbelievable. Who's taking care of the dogs? And I want you to think about what a safety concern that is. If the dogs are not up to snuff, or the canine handler says, you know what? I've got to go work another job today because I can't afford to go work for free again. I've got to pay some bills around here. Think about that. So there's not a bomb-sniffing dog at the airport today, the day that you're flying? That should be a concern. What about the dogs? It's a big concern to me. And I'm going to see what we can do about it. I've got a partner in pet food. I'm going to reach out to him today and say, hey, can we do something about this? Because there are handlers for TSA in every state. And these handlers are now being forced to pay the dog food bill and the vet bill and everything else. Your dog's family, right? Let's be honest. So I feed them the best that I can. Great Lakes pet food, high-quality, American-made dog food. Ivy and I went looking for an American-made dog food company here about 5 years ago, when we heard about all those Chinese companies that were sending over food and dogs were dying. It's made in America is Great Lakes Pet Food, tried and trusted by this family. I'd like you to check it out, greatlakespetfood.com. Don't normally talk about them, but in this particular case, talking about the dogs that need to be helped out in this country, the DHS dogs, good time for you to go look. greatlakespetfood.com, American-made dog food. We've used it for years in this house. I'll take a break and be right back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. I was talking about the price of oil here a moment ago. It got up down to about $86 yesterday. It's at about $93 this morning. Gas, for the first time in the last few weeks, came down just slightly overnight, but it's a sign of hope. And normally, my next guest, we sit here and we talk about that and the markets and what's going on, because Nick Hopwood is a certified financial planner. He shows up here from time to time and gives us insight into the markets and retirement. But today, we want to talk about something, I don't know, more positive, I guess. And that's rebuilding somebody else's home who can't afford to do anything about it. Nick Hopwood, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, sometimes it's good to shine a light on good.
It really is. And so recently you told me that you had gone on a mission trip to Jamaica. And I've always wanted to do a mission trip. Ivy and I have talked about it, but you didn't talk about it. You actually did it. You went to Jamaica, that country had been devastated by a big storm. Tell us the backstory.
Well, to say I went on a mission trip would be a little bit generous, but my wife and I, we scheduled a vacation, just the two of us. So we had a plan to leave the kids behind, head to Jamaica. Then Hurricane Melissa hit in October. And a lot of the hotels were shut down in Montego Bay, but the S Hotel stayed open. And so we continued on the trip. I'm walking around the hotel, investigating, happy hour, feeling pretty good. I find a group of guys wearing these yellow T-shirts, and I kind of stumbled upon their meeting, and they explained to me that they were here to rebuild homes. And so getting to talk to the guys for a few minutes, they invited me to join them the next day. So that's what I did.
So you're there on vacation to the only functioning hotel in the country. You have a libation, understood. And then the next day, what happens? You get invited to start swinging hammers? What goes on?
That's right. So I come back to my hotel room and I tell my wife, hey, tomorrow I'm going to go rebuild these homes. And she's like, are you crazy? This is our 4-day vacation. You're going to spend 1 day working. But like you said, I had never been on a missions trip. And so it's something I really wanted to do. So that's what we did. And so this group, Texans on Mission, they had like 25 people staying at the S Hotel in Montego Bay. Half the guys would stay at the hotel building tiny homes in the parking lot. The other half of the guys would go out to homes like you're seeing here, and all of these roofs had been ripped off by the hurricane. It was a Category 5 storm. So all these poor people, no roofs, nowhere to go, and these United States volunteers are coming down and rebuilding the homes with new roofs and, in some cases, new foundations as well.
So tell me about the devastation. I don't know if the pictures do it justice. You can sit here and say, wow, they got hammered hard. But when you first start walking, of course, you've left your hotel now. I take it your wife bought into it at some point, and she was good with it either way. But tell me about what it looked like on the ground, and as we roll through some of these pictures of roofing projects, foundation projects, helping those that had no shelter left and no real resources. What did you find?
Well, first of all, the GDP per capita in Jamaica is $8,000 per year, compared to the Gruber viewers are probably over $100,000 per year. So these people are extremely poor. You take away their roof, Steve, and on top of being extremely poor, and what are you going to do with your possessions, right? Because it's raining every day. The home itself, the foundation is getting wet. It's a real problem. The woman that we rebuilt for the day that I worked, her prized possessions, she had 2 possessions. Number 1, her mattress. She had that covered with a tarp to protect it from the elements. Her second prized possession, her Sunday church dress, which she had built a special compartment for as well. And that was it. So extreme poverty, extreme devastation. There's some great photos here showing the types of homes that we're talking about. In some case, the workers felt like the homes were beyond saving, but we did everything we could to give people new roofs and basically give them their life back.
So the 2 things she needed, her mattress and her Sunday dress to go to church. So through all of this, maybe it wasn't a missions trip, but obviously faith came shining through for the people there. What were the people like?
Oh, they're wonderful. And it's English speaking, so you can have a conversation with them. They're very, very, very happy to have Texans on Missions come and do this work because they're getting their life back. And so, just to see the relief in their eyes was really special.
So let me ask you this, because like I said, Ivy and we've talked about mission trips. We've never been on one. Knowing a lot of people that have done them in places that have been devastated by storms or earthquakes or whatever natural fiasco has befallen them. What do you plan to do now? I mean, what did you get out of it? Tell me about, obviously you're helping these people. They're grateful. They're nice people. They don't have They don't have much in this world. But what did it do for you?
You know, it was a moving time for me. Felt very emotional, and an emotional reward and feeling good about giving back and doing good work. But the first thing I did, Steve, is I made a donation to Texans on Mission for my donor advised fund, because I saw the work that these men were doing, and I felt like they needed more support. So that was the first thing I did. In terms of my children, I want them to do something like this as well when they're ready. And there you have a picture of us building tiny homes in the S Hotel parking lot.
So you turned the parking lot into a manufacturing facility. So these guys, Texans on Mission. That's what you're saying, Texans on Mission, right?
Yeah, TexansOnMission.org is the website.
All right, nonprofit. So what? These guys they see something bad happen, they jump on an airplane, they get in the car. Well, what's their story?
Yeah, that's basically the story. There's thousands of volunteers per year, and when we were working in Jamaica, the gentlemen were talking about how there is a new need in Louisiana. This was in February when there was ice storms coming through the southeast. So, they're already planning their next trip. And Steve, let me tell you, some of these guys were retired, and so they're thinking, "Hey, this is a great thing to do in retirement." There's a great video of the house that we were working on, not in great shape. But Steve, other people my age were spending their full vacation doing this volunteer work, and here I am, just a schmuck doing one day.
A schmuck too. Look, they pulled you out of a vacation, and you chipped in, so I give you credit for that. But you know what? We need more stories like this. We do. We need more stories of the positive things done in this country by people from this country looking at the future. We need a lot more of this. There's too much doom and gloom out there, Nick, and so I think it's great. Texans on Mission, for those of you watching, you can look it up, find out if maybe you want to help them out, or maybe there's something in your local neighborhood, because one of the things that I figured out during COVID, it was the small charities, Nick, the ones that bring in less than $1 million a year that really got hurt the worst during COVID when people weren't giving. And those are the ones that really know communities and smaller areas, and giving is important. Quick last word to you.
Yeah, I mean, I support that statement. We're talking about qualified charitable distributions, donor advised funds, but these are people that are actually giving their time, and that's wonderful as well. Perhaps you don't have the money to contribute to nonprofits, but maybe you have some time, and boy, does it feel good.
Nick Hopwood, well done. Thank you for joining me here today. There you have it. There's need out there, folks. Meals on Wheels, local charities. Do something good today, like Nick did. I'll take a break and be right back. It was good. All right, at what point do we just admit we have a massive fraud problem, not just in Minnesota, not just in California, but all across this country? When do we admit that? I mean, how many cases do you have to see? Look, this is a systemic problem across all states and the federal government, local municipalities as well. I've got a new one here out of Pennsylvania. I've got State Senator Camera Bartolotta here with me, representing PA 46. Senator, thank you for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, so let's see here. Two brothers, Bhaskar and Arun Savani. And we're just using this as an example because I think it is systemic. I think it's across this country, and we need to do something about it. $32 million in Medicaid fraud. $32 million over how much time?
Oh, gosh, a decade or so, maybe more. It was very well orchestrated and very well hidden on many, many, many levels.
But a decade. So they're bringing in over $3 million a year on average by, well, frankly, screwing the taxpayer. I mean, let me just be blunt, right? That's what they're doing.
Right. And it was human trafficking. It was Medicaid fraud. It was insurance fraud. It was tax fraud. It was wire fraud, everything. You couldn't write the script better.
Yeah. So when we hear the federal government say, look, Medicaid has problems, Medicaid is short on funding and so forth, then I see this. I think if you brought in all the fraud that's committed against, pick your government agency, we'll use Medicaid as this one, we'd be in a lot better shape if money wasn't seeping out the floor, wouldn't we?
Absolutely. Well, not only that, it's between 14 and $15 million that was owed to Pennsylvania alone. And in Pennsylvania, our Medicaid issue is horrific. We haven't raised the Medicaid reimbursement rate in Pennsylvania in nearly 20 years. So this is a gut punch to so many people relying on it.
So they owe, well, basically, so you're telling me, basically half is owed to the state of Pennsylvania, half is owed to the federal government, if I'm following what you're saying here.
Yeah, it's about 45%, 55%, right?
Yeah.
55% to the federal government, right?
You're never going to see a nickel of that, or are you? Did you find some of the money? The $32 million, let's be honest, that bought cars and yachts and trips and probably all sorts of things, didn't it?
Oh, forever, yes. Yeah, all kinds of things. But these two individuals, there's actually three individuals, the two brothers, and then one was a longtime employee, but the two brothers are facing over 400 years each in prison. But what does that do for all of the thousands of people who were denied Medicaid care, good care, additional care in that time period? And by the way, some people don't even know that it was a dental farce is what was going on. Some of these individuals, these patients, were given dental gear that wasn't even fit for human use, and they didn't know it.
Of course they didn't know it. So here's the strange irony. $32 million stolen. And okay, they're going to go to prison for 400 years or whatever. Then we get to pay the bill again because we get to house them and feed them after they've stolen $32 million. There's the sick irony, isn't it? All right, so what do we do here? It seems to me, Senator, there's got to be an approach here where Pennsylvania, Michigan, Mississippi, I don't care where, at the state level has fast strike teams, investigative teams that can get out and rapidly bring fraud to a close when it's discovered. And it's because of what happened in Minnesota, it's being exposed everywhere at a rapid rate. How can we accelerate the rate of fraud exposure, get people like these brothers arrested, and stop stealing from the taxpayers? What needs to happen?
Absolutely. One of the best things that happened was President Trump's executive order on March 16th, which allowed for whistleblowers to be protected. So if you see something, say something. But that was at the higher level. Pennsylvania is one of the largest states without a state level False Claims Act. And we're working on that right now. So we have implemented some issues through, three of them were bills, but then they got put into the budget recently. And those are things that are going to help alleviate some of this. Things where you can check on backgrounds of things and where you can, when this gets passed, we're going to be able to have a state level, see something, say something, a whistleblower protection. So our AG can work with the DOJ, with the United States Attorney General, and work in tandem and prevent a lot of these things, or at least uncover them. And because of what's happened to these brothers and because of Donald Trump's initiative, people are really afraid of what might happen to them. So this has opened up the curtains and shown people you're not going to get away with this much longer. You better stop what you're doing and fess up.
Not much longer, but that brings me to the point. This particular scam was going on for 10 years. We've seen similar things in Minneapolis. We've seen similar things in Los Angeles. Like I say, this is happening in every state. Some find it more frequently and at a fast pace, but these are years-long scams taking billions of dollars over time collectively, maybe even $1 trillion in total scam. Some people predict across the country.
I would imagine so.
Yeah, we've got to get this dialed in because, look, again, Medicaid, or maybe it's a daycare, or maybe it's some other government program for autism that's being exploited with fraud, and the people that really need the care are not getting it. Last word to you.
Well, the Biden administration adopted policies that weakened the federal government's oversight. And now we have Donald Trump coming in he's playing whack-a-mole with every single issue at one time. And this is a massive issue. We need to protect the most vulnerable. We need to make sure that our Medicaid and medical dollars are going to the right places. And this is a great, great start. And now we're finally shining a light on all of this and hopefully putting these people in prison for doing horrible things to vulnerable people.
Senator, really appreciate your work on this. Thank you for coming by. We'll keep an eye on it.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much. It's spring in most places, but spring can be a little bit dicey. You might still need that muskox, best flannel shirt you're ever going to wear. Made here in America. The muskox flannel, built different, heavyweight, rugged, insanely comfortable. They're not fashion flannels. They are a statement of you. Cold weather, hard work, real life. They look great doing it. Muskox. Even helps with wildlife conservation. Right now, you can save $15. It is an investment, I understand. GoMuskox.com. GoMuskox.com. Use the promo code HEAVYWEIGHT. You can save $15 today, or just click on that QR code on your screen. This is an American company doing good things. From Detroit. It's Detroit serious. I wear them. Why wouldn't you? GoMuskox.com. Promo code HEAVYWEIGHT. I'll be right back. Let me tell you about the Peace Act. The Peace Act IP28 in the state of Oregon. They need 117,000 signatures to get it on the ballot. Last time I looked at this, they had 100,000. But if you have not heard about the Peace Act, you need to. And for the folks in Oregon, reach out to me at stevegruber.com. Send me an email. The Peace Act would outlaw, make illegal, hunting, fishing, farming, pest control. Yeah, using a mousetrap would be illegal. Not a joke. It removes all restrictions on animal welfare laws that would mean fishing, livestock production, going hunting in the fall with your grandson. No, that would all be illegal in Oregon. Unbelievable. Animal rights activists have pushed this through. They've tried it in 2022 and 2024. They're trying again. And if it gets to the ballot, because it's Oregon, I'm going to say all bets are off. All bets are off. You should look this up if you haven't already, the Peace Act. We're going to be talking about it here. We're going to get some folks on the program from Oregon to talk about the radical animal rights ideas. And look, this should come as no surprise. The anti-hunting crowd gets louder every year. There are more than 50 law schools in America now that have animal rights classes. Animal rights. Some people believe that a rat is a bat is a boy, that everything, every living creature is equal. That's what they believe. And there are law schools out there teaching its students that you could be an advocate for a horse or a cat or a dog or whatever. They have advocates in court. Now, some recent cases of loss where zoo animals were represented in court, and the court says you can't really do that. But how far away are we from having one activist judge saying, yep, the chimpanzee gets an attorney? Not that far away. The Peace Act in Oregon, if it makes it to the ballot, I don't know what to say about it, but it would outlaw, like I said, hunting, fishing, farming, animal. You couldn't raise puppies. That would be illegal. The pest control people could not come get the bats out of your belfry, which these people obviously have for trying to push such a thing through. But there you go, the Peace Act. Look it up. Coming up in the next hour, of course, it's the best part of the day because Ivy rolls in with us. We'll have that and so much more coming up here. Thank you for watching on Real America's Voice, listening on MTN and all the other great networks, and, of course, all the streaming platforms. Follow us on social media. Don't forget that part. I'll be back with another hour after this.
From the heart of America, where hard work, freedom, and faith still define who we are. From the farms to the factories, from small towns to city streets, this is the fight for the soul of our nation.
We're watching Democrats attack democracy. Do not be fooled.
The strength, the grit, the greatness of the American spirit, all right here.
The left wanted power, not peace, but there's a resistance rising. A generation saying enough, enough. We've tried it their way, and it failed.
The Steve Gruber Show with your host, Steve Gruber, starts right now.
All right, here we go in another big hour. Glad to have you on board, fighting for you from that foxhole of freedom, defending America first every day. Put this country first, would you please? Here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, there's simply no reason at this point for the gas prices to be as high as they are. They just aren't. Oil prices last week stayed in the mid $90 range. Then they fell below $80. They're at $93 this morning. The fact of the matter is we are being robbed. Number two, a new COVID variant is spreading around the world. It could be more dangerous. But what, if anything, would you do if it spread here in America? Does anyone trust the government health care anymore? And number three, in Chicago, I have to go here. This is a story that's really catching a lot of attention. The murder of a young woman at the hands of a repeat criminal offender, illegal alien, has people outraged. But the mayor and the governor they shrug it off. They try to blame ICE. They try to blame President Trump, which of course is all a lie. Not everyone is buying it, not even all the Democrats anymore, because they can smell there's something wrong here. Here's a Chicago alderman, a Democrat, carpet bombing his own party for the open border that has resulted in the murder of Sheridan Gorman. Here he is.
Donald Trump.
Well, he's absolutely blaming Donald Trump. And listen, I'm not a rabid Trump supporter or hater. But if you're going to blame the federal government, then blame it where this problem began, which was under the Biden-Harris administration that allowed 15 million people from South America, Central America, and across the oceans to come through our southern borders, manipulate asylum, be poorly vetted, and then scattered to the seven winds of the United States. That's where this problem started, and I have yet to hear a single Democrat hold Biden and Harris accountable for what has happened, because they knew who they were allowing in, they have their information, they vetted them poorly and still let them go even when they were criminals. And to say it's Donald Trump's fault simply because we refuse to work with them to go after those high priority targets. There are 2,000 priority targets in the city of Chicago right now who we know are dangers, courtesy of the Biden-Harris administration that vetted them, but we will not allow the Trump administration to remove them simply because we don't want to look as though we're capitulating to him.
Well, there's a guy telling the truth. We don't want to look like we're capitulating to them. Open borders, 2,000 targets of violent criminals in Chicago this morning as we wake up, and Chicago's mayor and the governor of Illinois refusing to do a thing about it. Joining me now in the conversation, of course, is Ivy. Ivy, good morning.
Good morning.
It's reprehensible. It really is, isn't it?
It is. It's just another example on one soft on crime cities, which are generally always ran by blue governors, blue mayors. So Democrats that are running those cities just unfortunately run them into the ground. Soft on crime, especially there's some George Soros judges and things like that around. And it's unfortunate because this has a real impact on people's lives.
Yeah, you know what really bothers me about this one? Sheridan Gorman, right? Here she is. And so the mayor was asked several different times at several different press events, can you at least apologize to the family? He would blow the question off. They won't say her name. They won't apologize for allowing this to happen because, look, people can say, well, illegal aliens commit crimes at the same rate of natural-born people, which isn't true, but they say it. The fact of the matter is this person never should have been here, and that crime never would have occurred, and that young woman would still be with us.
Exactly, and it's just another example that these people, the mayor there in Chicago, has more care for the illegal immigrant than their own constituents, their own people that are American citizens.
That's right.
And it is unfortunate. And it is, for everyone else looking in, they're going, what are you guys doing? Stop this. And if they had allowed ICE to do their jobs, it's another reason that they should have allowed them in, because that criminal may not have been there if they would have allowed the Trump administration to come in and clear these criminals out.
Right, or done what they did in let's see, success in D.C., Memphis, New Orleans,
Right.
where the National Guard came in. Crime plummeted. They arrested hundreds of people, maybe more, in each city that were dangerous criminals.
Right.
You and I go to Washington enough. It's safer now than it's been in years. In New Orleans, there's people that said they wouldn't go out in certain parts of the city. They'll go out now. Same in Memphis.
Right.
It's reprehensible.
It's a common sense thing. Allow ICE to come in and get rid of these horrible people. I think it was a couple months ago, I read the top 10 offenders. Child rapists, sodomists, murderers. Like, why are these people continuing to defend evil people being in our country? They need to be arrested and deported back to their country so that they can deal with them.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, send them all to El Salvador. They'll deal with them at CCOT, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Anyhow, what else is on your to-do list this morning?
Well, I wanted to talk to you about the gas prices. Yesterday I fill up the tank at $4.15 a gallon.
Ouch.
And you say that we're being robbed. Why are we paying these really high gas prices?
Well, here's my take on it. Look, I'm not an expert on oil as a global commodity, and I know that the prices have gone up, but I did enough research to figure this out. For every $10 on the price of a barrel of oil, your gas should go up 25 cents. Well, we were at $67. Now, this morning, we're at 93, so that should equate to about 60 cents. But the fact of the matter is gas has gone up well over $1. To me, the only explanation is that's profit-taking. That's profiteering. That's robbing you. And I don't even want to see the bill from the Suburban. I mean,
right. Well, taking advantage of the situation and saying, well, there's a war, we don't have enough oil, I'm going to raise the price. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, we have 1.4 billion barrels of oil in reserve on this planet today.
Right. It just seems that, I'm hoping that this is going to come down by midterms because I just can't, this is just, I think a lot of people use this as fuel against the president saying, how are things really lowering in terms of the price of things? My gas is high, or my groceries are still high. The economy is, maybe it's okay, maybe it's not.
No, it's a driver. But I do have good news. Gas did come down 0.2 cents per gallon overnight. First time it's leveled off or stopped rising since the 28th of February when we began the bombing raids in Iran. So I guess maybe there's some hope.
Yeah, certainly. And, well, we'll see. I mean, it's still a long way away. We're only, actually, can you believe next week it's already April?
Well, it's already April, but
my goodness,
it's a long way from the midterms. And
it's a long way from the midterms, so we'll see what happens.
Cautioning the Democrats, don't take your victory lap too early. Please don't do that. Ivy, that's it for now, but you're coming back in just a few minutes, so we'll have you back on in a moment. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there you have it. What do you think about the price of gas? Here, send us emails. We'd like to see them. SteveGruber.com. Send us an email. Tell us what you want to see, what you want to hear, what's going on in your neck of the woods, what concerns you as you stare down the barrel of the midterms. I mean, that's a big question facing all of us. Is the economy going to be the driver? Is gas going to be something that drives your neighbors to vote for more taxes? I mean, as we talked about at the top of the show, moderates in Virginia have proposed 50 new tax increases, plus 15 new gun control measures. Is this what we're going to end up with if we stay on this path? I certainly hope not. I'll take a break and be right back. It's The Steve Gruber Show. Welcome back to it. You know, we've talked about this in the past, and I'm going to talk about it again today because some people don't take this seriously, and I'm telling you, you need to. And that is, with all this interconnection in the world, people slide in, they commit fraud, and before you know it, the house that you own isn't owned by you anymore. It is a remarkable set of circumstances that can steal your property right out from under you. Tom Simon is a spokesman for Home Title Lock, former FBI special agent, 26 years of experience investigating white-collar crime, counterterrorism, and national security measures. Now a licensed private investigator, forensic accountant. He leads Simon Worldwide Investigations. He specializes in fraud and cases like this as well. Tom, nice to see you again today.
It's so good to be here with you.
You know, here it is again. I'm going to play a little news clip here, because we have these from all over the country, and it really, for me, amplifies and underscores what people are up against. Listen to this.
Glenn, Lou, you can imagine just how shocking this was for that homeowner to learn that he no longer had the title of this property here in Burbank. He also told police he never authorized the sale of this home located behind us here on Walnut Avenue. Yet, according to federal investigators, paperwork was filed, a loan was funded, and ownership was transferred, all without his knowledge or consent.
$1.5 million property, Tom. $1.5 million. It was a group of fraudsters. They orchestrated this whole thing into 2024. They used stolen IDs, fake paperwork. I mean, they did the whole thing, didn't they?
They did. At the center of this controversy is an actual realtor, a real estate professional named Glennis Cardona, who worked with 3 co-conspirators to steal this $1.5 million house in Burbank, California. So what she did was she orchestrated the sale of this house from an unknowing owner to the stolen identity of an unwitting buyer. Now, she arranged for lenders to loan $975,000 for this home sale using forged deeds that were filed with the county clerk's office. Then Glennis was able to be the escrow agent for that transaction. So when the lender sent the money to the escrow, Glennis and her crew just stole the money among them and split it among themselves. So let's take attendance here. We have a homeowner. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so the real estate agent, this is not the first time we've heard this either, Tom, orchestrates the entire theft.
Absolutely. And neither the buyer nor the seller knew this was happening.
Yeah, it's
So
unbelievable. Go ahead.
We have a homeowner who never consented to the sale of their house. We have an unwitting home purchaser whose identity was stolen, who is now saddled with almost $1 million in debt. We have 2 lenders who aren't getting paid back. We have a title company who unwittingly ensured the transfer of title from the seller to the buyer. So thank heavens my former colleagues at the FBI put the criminal case together, and 3 of these fraudsters were busted, and the 4th is currently a fugitive. But despite the capture of the bad guys, the actual rightful owner of the home has a problem on his hands because the FBI doesn't have the authority to restore that home title back into his name. And meanwhile, there's $1 million lien on this property that needs to be handled. He's going to end up spending a fortune on attorneys to make this right.
You know, here it is again, because what we see here, and I talk about this interconnected world, people get on the internet. There are so many different ways to identify who owns a property, and then the games start. But the problem is, as is often the case, as technology advances, the laws lag way behind, Tom. Again, $1 million lien on this home, you would think this would be simple. Well, this was bogus, this was fraudulent, just give me my house back. Lenders get their money back. Doesn't work that way, does it?
This thing is going to be tied up in litigation till you and I are old men. This case is just such a mess for every single victim involved.
Yeah, and that's what I don't understand. You would think, well, you know, people say, well, this is easy. You just go correct it. And you say, well, these people did this. You show the FBI or the local sheriff's department or whatever, and they're like, it's a civil matter at this point. We can't help you oftentimes. Now, there's criminal charges here, of course, as there should be. But the tangled web, as you point out, will be old men before this is rectified. So you got involved with Home Title Lock because this is what they specialize in, making sure you don't end up at your mailbox tomorrow going, what do you mean I've got a mortgage that I owe all this money on, and I've got all this paperwork, and the court's sending you documents, or whatever it might be? Because that's when you realize something bad has happened, when it's too late.
Absolutely. I mean, Home Title Lock has they call it a triple lock $1 million guarantee, where they're going to monitor your home title They're going to notify you if anyone starts messing with it. And in a situation like this, if your home is stolen from you, they're going to spend $1 million in legal fees to get it restored to you by their U.S.-based restoration team. I bet the owner of this home wished he had home title lock.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, so I have people saying, well, that doesn't really happen, Steve. That really, every week, you bring me somebody new from a different state. We've had them from all states in this country. This scheme is going on all over the country. And because thieves and criminals and fraudsters have access to information because of the internet and so forth, it happens every day, doesn't it?
It does. This is a real crime problem, and it's difficult to actually quantify it because no one's really keeping appropriate stats.
Yeah, so my advice is to get hooked up with Home Title Lock. Again, they will come in and make sure that you are protected up to $1 million because we see these schemes all the time. In this particular case, it's not the first time where a real estate agent, somebody that these people trust, right? It could be a family member that people trust. And then, well, that trust is broken in such a way that they're like, how did that happen? Because when the dust clears are like, they've got to be sitting there confused, angry. And again, the people that win on this deal are the attorneys. I'll give you the last word here.
This is just a nightmare for everyone involved, and it's so avoidable. I mean, Home Title Lock for pennies a day are going to cover this thing and make sure you're not going to end up getting ripped off in one of these situations.
Yeah, very important. Tom, I really appreciate you always bringing these stories to us because it puts a face, a real human face to everything that's actually happening out there. Tom Simon from Home Title Lock, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me on.
And by the way, today you can get a 14-day free trial. HomeTitleLock.com, promo code's Gruber. HomeTitleLock.com, promo code Gruber. Don't end up at the mailbox going, I should have listened to Gruber, which I say all the time. But Home Title Lock, we have it because when I was first asked, where's your title? I didn't know. I know now, and Home Title Lock knows. They'll spend up to $1 million to make it right. Sleep well tonight. HomeTitleLock.com, promo code is Gruber. The stories are out there every day. Don't become a victim. I'll take a break and be right back. This is The Steve Gruber Show. This does not concern me greatly, though I did talk to Dr. Robert Redfield yesterday at length, the former CDC director during Donald Trump's first administration, who, by the way, when he first talked about COVID, thought that they were doing the right thing and has since said everything we did was wrong. He's coming up on the Forgotten America podcast in a few days. You'll want to hear what he has to say. Fascinating conversation about all the things we did wrong during COVID. And he's like the only guy that admits, look, we were wrong. And it's a fascinating conversation. But there's a new COVID variant spreading across the United States. The CDC says there's been a viral evolution. Of course there has. As Dr. Redfield says, this was created in a lab in Wuhan. It wasn't accidental. It was deliberate. And he says gain-of-function research is one of the most dangerous things still going on today, being funded by your tax dollars. So, COVID BA3.2, detected in 25 states, and it's been shown to immune escape characteristics. So, my question to you is simple. Does it concern you? A new COVID variant, do you care? Or do you just go on with your life? I think most people are going to say, I'm going to go on with my life. There's no trust in public health anymore after the COVID fiasco. I think that's the takeaway. Most Americans look at these things and go, why would I trust you again? You played all these games. You locked down businesses, said we couldn't go to church. All these different things had to be 6 feet apart, right? All that nonsense. None of it was real. It was all wrong. Anyhow, now you know there's a new COVID variant. By the way, 70 to 75 changes from the original because it keeps evolving. There it is. Midterms aren't far off, and there's something you need to be thinking about: access to your own money. We've all heard about debanking lately. The big banks gave in to cancel culture. They did it once, and they'll do it again. That's why choosing the right bank isn't just practical, it's critical. Old Glory Bank was built for patriots who value privacy and freedom. They don't cave to pressure no matter who's in D.C. They never treat your money like a political bargaining chip. If you want a bank that truly protects your freedom and your money, go to oldglorybank.com/RAV. There's a QR code right on your screen. You can click on that too. That's oldglorybank.com/RAV. Have a bank that you can trust. I'll take a break. I'll be right back. We've heard about a number of terror attacks here in the United States. Old Dominion University, the synagogue in a suburb of Detroit, Sheridan Gorman murdered by an illegal alien in Chicago. I mean, we can go through all sorts of scenarios of things we need to be concerned about, yet a lot of the folks in blue cities and blue states ignore all of this. In fact, Virginia has 15 brand new gun control laws to control you, the public. Joining me is Justin Davis. He is the NRA's Director of Public Affairs. Justin, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me on, sir.
Look, these random attacks, nobody's surprised by them anymore. They're sad. But if we had one right now at this moment, nobody would be surprised. We have to be ready. In fact, the NRA has a Be Ready campaign because of these terror threats and other threats against our safety. Tell me about this.
Absolutely. So just like you and your listeners, we've been watching the concerning rise across this country and across this world of threats in our country, whether it's from terror cells, as Pam Bondi said in a recent hearing, or attacks here at home, as you've seen in Old Dominion and even up here in Fairfax, where just a few weeks ago, a career criminal with dozens of violent crimes on his record who was never prosecuted was set free and murdered a woman at a bus stop for no reason. Soft on crime policies are putting us all in danger. That's no question. And to couple that with extreme gun control measures that disarm law-abiding citizens like me and you puts everybody in danger. And so we're calling on folks to be ready, get trained, be armed, and make sure you're protecting yourself, your family, and your community.
Isn't it remarkable how the NRA has become the poster child for the left to attack? Somebody gets killed, and they blame the NRA. And yet, when somebody like Sheridan Gorman is killed, or the incident in Fairfax, or the attack in West Bloomfield in Michigan, and the list goes on and on, the attack in Austin, Texas at the bar. If people are prepared, they can stop these attacks. But you never hear about those. You don't hear about those, Justin, when somebody gets stopped in their tracks, which is what happened in Michigan, by the way. That guy was the only fatality that day because they were ready and trained, and they faced the threat head on. This is an important lesson, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, like you said, the NRA is the only organization in the world that gets blamed for crimes that our members don't commit. We're the law-abiding of this country. We're the ones keeping you safe. We're the folks who, when there is an attack, are armed and ready to go to protect you and your family, as well as our family. And, you know, it's not just about legislation here at the NRA. We're the world leader in training. For example, for these attacks on churches and synagogues, we actually are the leader in training folks on how to get a plan together to make sure their community is safe. And that's security plans, that's armed security training, that's law enforcement training. The security in this country is because of the NRA. And the folks who want to take those rights away, while simultaneously ripping your rights away so you can't protect yourself, it's a recipe for disaster.
It's kind of a, you know, here's what I don't understand, Justin. The same people in Virginia who say we don't want people to have this and this and this when it comes to guns, and they've got a whole laundry list of their left-wing wish list. Those are the same people who say we need to defund the police. What do they just want us running around with, you know, stones and spears and the police too, and just have chaos and anarchy in the streets because they don't want police and they don't want the private citizen to defend themselves? What exactly do they think the outcome is going to be?
I mean, it's hard to say they're not pro-criminal, right? I mean, to tweak a line from James Carville, it's the economy stupid, and the public safety world, it's the criminal stupid. It's the people who are looking to hurt your family, the people who've been let out on the street time and time again. These people aren't being reformed. Instead, they're put back on the street to wreak havoc in our communities. So you have to be ready. You have to be prepared. If you're not a firearm owner, I suggest going out, getting a firearm, and getting trained in an NRA class. And if you're a seasoned firearm owner like myself, go to the range this weekend and knock the rust off because you need prepared at all times.
Yeah, I am an NRA member, have been for years. So is my wife. A lot of changes at the NRA over the last couple of years. Kind of tell me where you guys are, where you're headed. I mean, obviously, look, in Virginia, look, most people vote on the economy, but you're right. When it comes to crime, when people see crime in their streets and they see criminals that go in the door and out the door, in the door and out the door, and then that results in somebody getting killed, like Sheridan Gorman there in Chicago here the last couple of days, people are appalled. So heading into the midterms, the Be Ready campaign is being rolled out by the NRA. What else are you guys doing these days?
Absolutely. So on the legislative front, we have lobbyists battling in all 50 state houses across this country, as well as Capitol Hill, of course. And as you see in these deep blue states, they're becoming litigation states. These are getting more and more polarizing. They're passing extreme gun control that they know won't hold up in court under Bruin, yet they're still passing these laws. So we have a world-class legal team here who's ready to fight those at every turn. And you're absolutely right. We're telling folks we need to get involved. You need to get involved. You need to vote. You need to run for office. You need to get trained. You need to get activated. You need to take your Second Amendment rights into your own hands and make sure you're actually taking an active role in that. And that starts by joining the NRA. That starts by getting trained on how to be a political activist, and that it calls on how to be a trained armed citizen as well. So we're fighting on all fronts here. We're excited. We're stronger than ever under our new leadership. We're doubling down and getting stronger every single day.
You know, and it just, in that few moments that you were explaining that, I decided to look real quick for, crimes out there that should be alarming. Here's what came up in the headline. I want to share it with the folks. Repeat offender with long rap sheet. Guns down man while free on probation and bond, despite multiple violations. 19-year-old killer. That's part of the problem here, isn't it? We need to make sure that the criminals stay behind bars. And here's something else. They talk about guns being the problem, and yet when you have these draconian gun laws in D.C. or Chicago, or pick your jurisdiction, they don't enforce the gun laws that are already on the books. More laws pertaining to guns, I think, than anything else in American jurisprudence. And so if you complain about guns but don't enforce the very laws that are on the books already and people are getting killed, isn't that the responsibility of the courts, the judges, and the lawmakers?
Absolutely. No, there's a video going around right now of a group of teens in Chicago, the same place where a illegal immigrant murdered a young law-abiding citizen, and the mayor there refuses to call on his own actions for being part of that. Yet we have teens who are running around illegally with Glock switches and all other kinds of devices. These are not law-abiding citizens. These are tried and true criminals. And instead of enforcing the laws against the people who are committing the crimes, they're adding new regulations that only impact you and I, because you and I will follow the law. You and I are law-abiding citizens. Criminals, by definition, will not follow the law and will continue to commit crimes against our communities until they're stopped and put away. And until that happens, American citizens are in grave danger.
Yeah, and worse than that, when asked, should this killer that killed Sheridan Gorman there in Chicago, the young woman you're referring to, should that person be deported? The Democrats won't answer the question. This is simple common sense stuff here. Throw them out of the country. Get them out of here. An illegal alien can't have a gun to begin with. It's already a felony and a violation and a deportable offense anyhow. Justin, tell the folks where they can find out more about the NRA today.
Absolutely. Go to NRA.org for all information about your legislative updates, how to find training. Like I said before, now is the time, whether you're a seasoned veteran like myself in firearms, go to the ranges. We can knock off some rust. If you're a new gun buyer, make sure you take a class with the NRA. Get comfortable, know how to use that tool to protect you and your family.
That's good advice, Justin. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Steve.
In fact, Ivy and I did that just this couple of weekends ago. We've got the permit to carry. We went through all the classes required by law in Michigan, cleared by the Sheriff's Department, all of those things. Some states have that, some don't. But just because you have the piece of equipment, are you ready to use it? Go knock the dust off, like Justin said. Be ready in case there's a need. Be ready. Be prepared. Don't get caught in a bad situation unprepared. All right, I'm going to take a break. When we come back, Ivy's going to be back with us after this on The Steve Gruber Show. All right, back to it now as we continue the conversation here. Ivy coming back in. I must be living right.
Every day you are.
Exactly. We were just talking there about being prepared with guns. And interesting fact, Ivy had a concealed carry before I did, which is interesting because people would, always thought if people would want to target me, they wouldn't pay attention to the woman standing to the side.
Who was ready. Little old me?
Yeah, little old me, who was ready to defend her husband, her family, whatever. But what he recommended there, Justin Davis from the NRA, was to make sure you're ready. And he said, go knock the dust off it. Go out to the range. And we did that a couple of weeks ago. And it's important. I mean, it's great if you got the concealed carry.
Absolutely.
But if you haven't shot your gun in 5 years, are you really ready? Actually, you killed it. I mean, you were great.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think it's important to do if you're going to be a concealed carry. If you're going to, carry your gun around, is my point.
Yeah.
You should shoot it at least once a month. Just because if you are in an emergency situation, you want to be prepared. And if you haven't shot your gun recently, fumbling it around or even practicing taking it out of your holster and things like that. So very important to do.
Yeah, and our handguns, because we had young kids when we first started carrying regularly, we've got thumb trigger handguns. Some people like those, some people don't. We liked them because we had kids around, and so we are...
Well, we always lock them up safely.
Well, of course. But we never wanted to take the risk, and with kids around, you always want to make sure that nothing bad can happen, obviously. So anyhow, I thought it was good advice. Be ready because we see these terror attacks in Detroit, Old Dominion University, Austin, Texas. Look, if you're going to carry, be prepared. And to be honest, I think Ivy shot's better than I did, so you got that going for you.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
actually, we had a group of young ladies, our daughter being one, and a couple of her friends, who came over, and we took them through a series of shooting and started with the 22, right? And then went to the 9mm. But they all did really great. I think oftentimes people go in very timidly because they may have, in this case, never shot a firearm before, a handgun before. But they all did great. And with, they were...
Yeah, none of them
took great instruction and they did an excellent job. So.
Started with that Ruger Mark II that used to be my father's. It's just
a great little handgun.
It's a great little handgun, that Ruger Mark II, 22 semi-auto pistol. Great way to start the girls, and then they went up to 9mm. They shot well. I was so proud. And look, that's part of the thing, too. If you want your children to appreciate it, take them out. And these three young women, none of them had ever shot handguns. Two of them had just gone through the class to become qualified to be concealed carry permit holders. So that's all important. It's part of what we have to do.
Absolutely. And it also gives them respect for the power of the weapon, the safety of the weapon, how you should handle it. And it's just a really important thing to know for sure if you're going to be handling firearms and concealed carry.
Good lesson for today. All right, what else are you looking at today?
Have you heard of this case, Mahmoud versus Taylor? A group of religious parents and from different backgrounds, Muslim, Catholic, Christian. They challenged a public school policy because, as you know, and we've talked about a lot on this show, young kids, elementary school kids, have access to some very inappropriate books.
Oh, my gosh.
And so what these folks went and did and said, listen, we need to be able to be told that these books are available because the school district introduced LGBTQ inclusive storybooks for elementary students. And the parents have said, no, we need to be able to know that this is going on, one, and two, to be able to opt out if we want. You can't just take our kids in and say, here you go, and they're looking at these sorts of things, and which are, in some cases, very graphic.
Very graphic.
And completely inappropriate for elementary school kids.
I should have grabbed this clip, and I didn't. But yesterday I'm watching, as we're doing research for this program, working for you every day. I saw this video of this grandmother yesterday standing at a school board meeting. She's probably in her mid-60s, whatever, grandmother. She comes up with a book in her hand and said, I want to read to you what's available to the elementary school here.
Right.
She was stopped in the middle of reciting what's in the book that's available to elementary students and removed from the room by police by the order of the school board.
Unbelievable. And I remember, actually, I was in the other room in my office and I was hearing you play that bite. And I mean, like pornographic sexual material.
Words that I can't use on this program, wouldn't use on this program.
Right, exactly.
You know.
And the fact that those are even available for, any child of any age.
You know what I want to know?
Is outrageous.
What you make me think about when I hear that is, all right, who is choosing these books? Who is the adult in the group that's allowing books that are so graphic they can't be read at the school board meeting? Who's choosing those books to put them on the shelf?
That's a really great question, Steve. Who chooses them and puts them in place for these young people to read? Because it is sexualization of the children.
And that person, I don't know if it's a librarian, somebody else in the school, a teacher maybe, that person is in the mix with your child in the school district. So maybe that's the next best question is, okay, who picked these books? Is it one person, two or three people? And why are they sexualizing our kids? It's grotesque.
It's demented and evil. You should not.
Public school library books are primarily chosen by certified school librarians.
There you have it. Anthony chimes in with the facts. Anthony's always the voice. He's like the voice in my head. So the librarians. So maybe one of the things we need to be asking at our local school district is, who's the librarian? Can I meet him?
Well, and I think, and going back to the Supreme Court ruling, the government can't enforce, the school districts can enforce your children, your young children, to participate in certain lessons. I mean, you've seen these, story time, drag queen.
Oh yeah. So just to be clear, then, the Supreme Court says you cannot force kids to be subjected to this pornographic material.
Correct.
That's a good decision.
You can opt out. You have to be able to opt out of anything related to LGBTQ inclusive storybooks, and you have to be made aware of them ahead of time.
Look, I don't care
if they're going to be available for your young people to see and read.
Yeah, I don't care if they're straight books but have this graphic material.
That's a good point.
Should not be on the shelf.
That's a good point.
Period. Ivy, love you.
Love you.
What do you guys think? Send us an email, stevegruber.com. Follow us on social media, X, Facebook, TikTok, Getter, all of those great places. Smash the like button. I'll be right back. That was good. All right, time to check in on sports with my good friend Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. The 2026 Major League Baseball regular season began last night with the New York Yankees blanking the San Francisco Giants 7-0 at Oracle Park in San Francisco. Max Fried and 3 relievers combined on a 3-hit shutout, and Giancarlo Stanton and Austin Wells each had 2 hits for the Bombers. 11 games in Major League Baseball today. In the NBA, there were 12 games last night. Winners included Atlanta, Washington, Minnesota, and the LA Lakers. In the NHL, there were just 2 games. Boston beat Buffalo in overtime 4-3, and Toronto beat the New York Rangers 4-3. In men's college basketball, some coaching news. South Florida hired College of Charleston head coach Chris Mack as their new head coach. He replaces Brian Hodgson, who left for Providence earlier this week. And Butler hired NBA assistant Ronald Norred to lead their program. Norred was the point guard on Butler's national runner-up teams in 2010 and 2011. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Brock, my, look, like everybody else, my bracket is not great. It's not, my final 4 teams are still alive. All right, I got that going for me.
So you didn't have to file a second chance bracket, which is very popular these days when everybody's else's original bracket completely blows up.
Not yet. It's always fun to watch. 100 perfect brackets left, then one game's played 50 perfect, and then, by the time it's no perfect brackets remain today that were filed anywhere that anybody knows about. So somebody has
on the men's side. I think there's 1 left on the women's side. Seriously.
Wow. Even so, that's so hard and it's nearly impossible. It's 1 in 9.2 quintillion, whatever a quintillion is.
Yep.
Anyhow, tonight, Texas and Purdue, Iowa against Nebraska, Arkansas, Arizona, Illinois, Houston.
Yes.
I'll not see most of that. What's that?
What's that?
I said I won't see most of it because, look, they play these games too late in the day. When it comes to championship, played on a Monday, I'll be a wreck the next morning because I'll be up watching it, right? But possibly.
The state of Michigan team's in it.
Yeah, that's right. Michigan and Michigan State both still alive.
Yep.
Purdue and Illinois are 2 of my final 4 teams. We'll see how they do tonight, so We'll see. All right. Thank you, Brock. Greatly appreciate it. And appreciate you, as always, for those of you on Real America's Voice. Sunrise coming up next for those of you on streaming and the MTN networks. The 3rd hour of the Steve Gruber Show will be up next. So pick your poison. Greatly appreciate seeing you on a Thursday. God bless America.
From the heart of America, where hard work, freedom, and faith still define who we are. From the farms to the factories, from small towns to city streets, this is the fight for the soul of our nation.
We're watching Democrats attack democracy. Do not be fooled.
The strength, the grit, the greatness of the American spirit, all right here.
The left wanted power, not peace, but there's a resistance rising. A generation saying enough, enough. We've tried it their way, and it failed.
The Steve Gruber Show with your host, Steve Gruber, starts right now.
All right, welcome back to it. Launching another big hour here of the program. Greatly appreciate you no matter where you're watching. Could be on Getter, could be on YouTube, could be on your radio. Glad to have you on board here. 3 big things you need to know this hour. Number 1, in Michigan, they're launching new research grants to combat PFAS contamination on farmland. That's good news. Number 2, from Beijing to ballots, what did China do to impact the 2020 elections? It's back under the microscope. And number 3, election 2026. Big year, right? The midterms. Who's going to come out ahead? Well, in the race for governor on the Republican side, John James basically had the race to himself, according to polling, for a long time, but not anymore. Perry Johnson is apparently surging. He's spending a lot of money, $9 million reported that Perry Johnson was going to spend on the race, and it seems to be paying off. John James in the latest polling at 23%, Perry Johnson at 20%. Everyone else in the race is in single digits, according to JMC Analytics. All right, so you take the poll for what it's worth, but I do believe that Perry Johnson is making inroads. And at the same time, John James appears to be skipping yet another debate. This comes from Michigan News Source, my news company. John James doesn't want to do any gubernatorial debates, at least until the field is set, he says, which is after April 21 and the filing date. Remember, 4 years ago, there was a big problem. Perry Johnson and others were disqualified because the signatures they had gathered, many of them had been falsified by the gatherers, not by the campaigns, but by those who were out gathering signatures and getting paid for signatures. Well, they fabricated signatures, took the money and ran, and then left the candidates holding the bag. Not this time around. So, will John James show up for debates? His latest explanation on staying out of the debates, which was given to reporters in Chesterfield Township while visiting manufacturers, is that he wants to unify the party rather than spend time sparring with fellow Republicans. But to critics, it looks a lot more like a frontrunner avoiding unscripted moments. It might be easier to sell if he was miles ahead in the polls, but again, it's gotten tight with Perry Johnson, so we'll see how this plays out. Meanwhile, by the way, Perry Johnson has his own song now. I guess. Why not? You know what? I'm going to give you a sample. Perry Johnson's new song. Here's a clip.
Johnson's rising, gonna take a stand for families and freedom across this land. No income tax saving us that dough. 47, give us room to grow.
All right, so there you had. It's kind of a fun song. Yeah, I'm going to give him credit. I think it's kind of a fun song. Anthony, your thoughts on the song?
It's a song. It's a song.
Right, but it's not. It's not awful.
No.
It kind of got a little beat to it.
Yeah.
Anyhow, on a serious note, Johnson promises to abolish Michigan's income tax. That'd be a brilliant move, by the way. He's been pouring money into the race since he announced his candidacy at the end of January, hammering James, a polished career politician, working to turn this primary into something more competitive than the congressman's camp may have expected. I'm not sure anybody took Perry Johnson seriously. Well, I think they might now. John Yob telling the Detroit News back in January, John James is running a lazy campaign that relies on the generosity of the DeVos family and not the hard work it will take to win this office. We'll see how that plays out as we go forward, all right? Meanwhile, from Michigan, Lisa McClain, the number 3 member of the House, Republican, constituency. She's out there making waves and doing what a lot of folks on the right are talking about, the DHS shutdown. Day 40 today. 40 days that the TSA agents, CISA, the Coast Guard, none of these people are being paid. And the Democrat demands are to dismantle ICE so that we can keep illegal alien criminals in the country. It's a bizarre tactic. Even the mainstream media seems to be falling apart on it. But Lisa McLean weighed in. Here's what she said.
Sickens me. I'm here to protect Americans, and I'm here to protect law-abiding citizens. And that's what we're going to vote again. We're going to stop playing politics. We're going to put the American people first again. And I will close by saying this. Thank you, President Trump, for doing what the Democrats refuse to do. And thank you for always putting Americans first.
Yeah, thank you for putting Americans first. That's Lisa McLean. She's on this program pretty regularly. Should have her back here talking about the DHS shutdown. We'll look into getting her on in the next couple of days. Meanwhile, I want to shift my attention to the war. Haven't heard much about it, of course, because we are in the middle of a 5-day pause. I wouldn't call it a ceasefire, just a 5-day pause in hostilities. The president has said that if Iran doesn't basically capitulate, we're going to take out their power plants, all of them, and leave them in the dark. We'll see what happens. But Kevin O'Leary weighed in, Mr. Wonderful, and he says the problem with Democrats on this is they're too myopic, too short-sighted. They don't see the big picture. Here's what he said.
That's really good for everybody because that's a lot more trade into Asia. That's the hub. UAE is the hub of trade for that whole region. That'll be a great outcome for investors like me. And I don't want to make light of the war. I keep saying that, but I'm thinking ahead 90 days here, and I'm liking what I see. Not the war. I keep saying that. I don't need the headaches on social media, but you know what I'm saying in terms of long-term vision. Yeah. Third, which I find really, really intriguing, is no matter what happens, no enriched uranium, that's got to be found and taken out of the country. That'll be part of the deal. Hormuz will be open in perpetuity. We've got 22 nations talking about supporting that financially. That's just like the Suez or Panama Canal. Great for the region. It's a game changer in the sense that all of a sudden you have stability in the fastest growing part of the earth. It's very, very bullish for world markets. And again, I preface it, I don't like war, but you got to let this play out because the big vision here is to finally stop this problem we've had for 60 years, and I really like that outcome.
I wonder how much.
So there you have it, Mr. Wonderful. Look, you got to look long term. This is generational. It's not based on the election cycle. It's based on what's good for this country and for the world long term. Look at the changes that have happened. The Western Hemisphere. Countries rejecting socialism left and right. Chile, Argentina, El Salvador, Honduras, Costa Rica, the list goes on. Rejecting the socialist failures, re-embracing free trade, re-embracing capitalism, civil rights, human rights, all of it. And who's leading that? Donald Trump is. Whether Democrats care to admit it or not, Donald Trump is leading that change in the Western Hemisphere and globally too. I'll take a break and be right back. This is The Steve Gruber Show. Well, the Department of Education, created by Jimmy Carter back in the late 1970s, has spent piles of money, enriched the teachers' unions, but has done little to help our kids get smarter or better educated. That's my take. And so the Trump administration would like to see that department go away. Not as easy as it sounds. You can't just uncreate it, apparently, which you should be able to do. Jeannie Allen is the founder and CEO of the Center for Education Reform and the Yes Center for Education. She joins me now. Jeannie, nice to see you this morning.
Great to see you, Steve.
They keep making steps toward at least making the department smaller, but eliminating it altogether, not an easy task, is it?
Well, it was created by an act of Congress, so it needs an act of Congress to go out of business. There's not an appetite to completely dismantle it wholesale. So the administration is taking to creating interagency agreements, basically moving different functions to other departments in an effort to push that power they keep talking about back to the states.
So they take this responsibility away and that responsibility away and move it. And look, local control has been an important part of education, since the republic became a republic. But these folks in Washington always think they can do it better. They think they can decide for Mississippi and Montana and Michigan because it's all the same. But it's not all the same. Different parts of the country are different, right?
Right. And they think they're putting safeguards. Like, if we want to think about the best of intentions, they think those are safeguards. And also, look, people don't know when you say we're going to get rid of a major agency that's been in their lives all this time, what it does, and it has all those special interests, right? But here's the reality. Real local control is when parents actually have the power to drive their kids' education, when teachers have the flexibility and freedom to do the work they were hired to do, or maybe to be dismissed if they're not doing it, when entrepreneurs and civic institutions can meet the needs of the community, whether it's manufacturing or education related. And so, but the bottom line is the Department of Education hasn't just talked about education. It's mostly been a real estate agency subsidizing a whole number of very large organizations that don't have anything to do with education. For example, student loans. They are moving the student loan portfolio to the Treasury Department. Why? Because $1.7 trillion in lending has been done from an agency that has nothing to do with money. And
that's remarkable. So that's a really important point. I think that they have or are in the process of moving student loans to the Treasury Department, which would make more sense, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that allows them to focus on collections, especially defaults. And of course, the goal is, again, helping to split up the DOE. But the reality is all those kids and all those adults who've been getting notices all these years, or people who have a difficulty reaching someone, why are we calling the Department of Education's collection agency?
Yeah.
Treasury knows how to collect money.
Yeah. Look, I think student loans are a racket. I do. And when Barack Obama took over, when I was a kid, when I was going to college 1,000 years ago, I went to the local bank to fill out documents for a student loan, right? I paid them back. And then Barack Obama moved it all into the government. As a result, the cost of education skyrocketed because you have one government agency giving another government agency money by way of a third party, that being the student, who ends up with this massive amount of debt, often for a degree that isn't worth doodly squat. And that's a big part of the problem. Doodly squat is a big word that I learned in college, by the way. The fact of the matter is that these institutions, these colleges and universities, they should be co-signers on these loans. They should be. Because that way, if it's 5 years down the line and that education has not returned anything on its investment, those universities and colleges should be held accountable. That's an aside, but I think there are other ways to help this country be better in education and learning from our mistakes. But the Department of Education never learned from its mistakes, did it?
Well, and you're absolutely right. There should be shared responsibility. Schools should not have to just keep going year after year, regardless of where their kids default. If they have a large default, they should go out of business. And that actually dovetails with another initiative that we've advocated for 20 plus years that the administration is working on, accreditation. We should allow institutions that are higher learning could be career, it could be, again, purely academic, it could be a hybrid of both, to come into existence. We need accreditation reform. Just because someone comes in from on high and says, you're accredited, yes, you have the books you said you have. It's not equality, by the way. Most people think accreditation means quality. It's really more like truth in lending, Steve. But why aren't we allowing institutions that really are driving change to become institutions that give degrees, that actually say, you know something about your career pathway, you know something about this academic area, you have knowledge. Why do we need the federal government to tell us that that exists?
Yeah. Well, we'll see what the next steps are. Again, an act of Congress would take an act of God these days, I think, or pretty close. Because, look, getting everybody on board to do something like that, good luck. You'll need a majority of 30 or 40 Republicans majority to have something like that happen. I don't see that in the cards, not yet anyway. Jeannie, I'll give you the last word.
Well, they are fast racing ahead to dismantle this department. Career and technical education is the Labor Department. State has international programs. That's where it should be. We need a school in the U.S. Department of Education. If we're going to have an education department, let's show people what great schools look like.
Good idea. Jeannie Allen, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, this part of the program brought to you by my friends at NeuroGuard Plus. Stop concussions before they happen. Dr. Michael Hutchinson has patented a breakthrough mouth guard for athletes in all sports, and it's a game changer. Athletes using NeuroGuard Plus suffer concussions just 0.26% of the time. 0.26. It's almost zero, and it gets better. This mouth guard can boost your strength and speed by 16%, lift more weight, run higher, jump faster. Is that right? Jump higher, run faster? Anyway, don't take my word for it. Michigan State and Wayne State have tested it, certified the results. Protect your brain, upgrade your performance. Go to NeuroGuardPlus.com, save 10% with the promo code Gruber. NeuroGuardPlus.com. You know, girls basketball, one of the biggest incidents of concussions. Get to NeuroGuard Plus today. NeuroGuardPlus.com, promo code Gruber. I'll be right back. All right. I think this is really important. It's something we've paid attention to on this program for a long time. PFAS, forever chemicals. Right? You go back to 2017, I believe it was. 2017, we had a whistleblower on the program talking about PFAS contamination in Michigan. Said it was off the charts. And he had written this report that had been promptly ignored by all state officials until we brought him on this program. And suddenly, Michigan became the national leader in doing PFAS research, trying to do PFAS detection. And yes, it was because what we did on this program. We do affect change from time to time. Well, now here's something for you. Michigan taking a new step to tackle a growing environmental concern. The Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, MDARD, launched a new research grant program. It targets PFAS contamination on farmland. On farmland, where your food comes from, probably pretty important. PFAS, often referred to as forever chemicals, have popped up in soil, crops, even livestock across the state. Nice little article here from MichiganNewsSource.com. You can go check it out yourself, MichiganNewsSource.com. PFAS, look, they're toxic. They've been linked to cancer. Some people think it's linked to autism. There are studies ongoing about that. It's everywhere. Polar bears have been tested for PFAS. They have it. It's in popcorn bags. It's in pizza boxes. It's in the water-resistant chemicals you put on your couch or your carpet, literally everywhere. And it was made by big chemical companies for years, even though they knew the problems it was creating. So it's ubiquitous in the environment. And so I think more studies of how it affects you and I, our health, our children, everything is incredibly important. And so I appreciate the fact that the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development is looking into it. The new effort focuses on the origins of the chemicals, how PFAS moves to the soil. This is incredibly important. Contaminants normally are blocked by soil. If you have a contaminated pond, it ends because it can't penetrate the dirt. PFAS migrates right through that. So it's an important study. Again, you can find out more at MichiganNewsSource.com. The more you know, the better off you are. I'll take a break and be right back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Well, I've got some good news. Election year good news. You know, we don't get to do that every day, but we do today because a ballot initiative that would have just been a crushing tax increase on people and small businesses in Michigan looks like it's probably not going to happen. For the most powerful voice in business in Michigan, the Michigan Chamber Business Brief, Wendy Block joining me, Senior Vice President of Business Advocacy for the Chamber. Wendy, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So we've talked about this on the program a fair amount, but there was a proposal that was going to slam anyone making $500,000 a year or couples making $1 million, and that is LLCs, S corporations, all these small businesses. Well, thankfully, this was coming from outside sources, not Michigan people, but apparently the effort to get that on the ballot has been suspended. What can you tell me?
Yeah, so last week, proponents of the so-called Invest in My Kids proposal announced that they were pulling the plug on their efforts to get this constitutional amendment on the November 2026 ballot. This thing is meant to be popular. They talked about how, they want to spend more money on schools, but really it is a massive tax hike on not only individuals making above $500,000 or $1 million, but also would severely have impacted many small and mid-sized companies that structure their business as pass-through entities like sole proprietorships and LLCs, the heart of Michigan's communities and economy. So this is good news for the Michigan business community and for Michiganders more broadly. I would say they are kind of saying they're going to be back. So we are kind of cautiously optimistic for the moment, and this is welcome news, but certainly don't think that this fight is over.
Probably not. Anybody can look and see what happened in Virginia. They elected a moderate Democrat as their governor. They got 50 new tax proposals. These are jaw-dropping. Let's see. There's a dog grooming tax, a dog walking tax, a tax on repairing your car, a tax on repairing your house. 50, Wendy. This is what happens when you elect moderate Democrats, apparently, to control all three branches of government in Virginia. That should frighten anyone, shouldn't it?
It sure should. And, there's a lot of discussion even in Lansing right now about the state budget and whether or not we need to put in place new taxes and fee hikes, or whether Michigan should start to live within its means. The state budget has exploded over the last decade, and yet there are many lawmakers who think that there still isn't enough money and that Michiganders need to open up their pocketbooks and pay government more instead of kind of right-sizing and doing what families are doing across Michigan, saying money is tight and here's where we're gonna start prioritizing our spending.
Yeah, I think I saw the number at $88 billion was the proposal, up again. Look, the economy hasn't grown like that. If anything, COVID put a damper on things. And you look around. Michigan, I believe, was the only state in the country that raised income tax in the last couple of years on its earners. The only one. You look at Tennessee or Texas or Florida where they have no income tax. Those states are booming. Where you continue to raise taxes, those states, California, Illinois, New York, Michigan, are not booming. Not the way they should be, right?
Right. I mean, certainly a lot of our numbers would show that Michigan is headed in the wrong direction. We're hoping at the Michigan Chamber that, policymakers will look at those things seriously and start realizing that Michigan needs to get serious about its economy and its future, and that taxing our way to prosperity is really not the solution.
You know what I'd like, Wendy, in all seriousness, is an audit. And I say that because I look at states like 3 states in particular, North Carolina and Georgia, both similar-sized states to Michigan. They spend something like $30 billion less annually than we do. And then there's Pennsylvania, a bigger state than Michigan, that spends about $30 billion less annually. I want to see an audit. Where are we spending our money that those 3 states do not?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, there's these budgets, when they're put together, a lot of things are rolled up, right? You see one line item that spends $10 million or $100 million or more. But it's really difficult even for lawmakers to get good answers to the questions of but exactly where's every dollar of that going? There was an exercise maybe 10 plus years ago about zero-based budgeting, kind of just starting with a blank sheet of paper. How do we build a budget from scratch rather than just kind of continuing to build on what we have? And I think that was really done with good intentions, but proved to be almost impossible for lawmakers to do.
Well, that's why... Look, this is where AI comes in, all right? This is where we can put AI to work. Build a budget that makes sense and figure out where every dollar goes, as advanced as that stuff is. Look.
Sounds like a great project for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on it. So let me give you one thing that also sticks out to me. All this money spent, and Michigan continues to fall down the ladder of educational proficiency. We're 44th now, Wendy, 44th. We used to make fun of Mississippi. We don't anymore. They're top 5. I mean, look around. We're spending all this money and accomplishing nothing, really.
Yeah,
I mean, fix the damn roads, right? Fix the damn roads, fix the damn school, fix any damn thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really scary just kind of when you look at our educational outcomes, especially as compared to money put into the system, right? Michigan continues to invest at higher levels than many other states, but our outcomes are certainly not even close to near the top.
Yeah.
And as a mom myself, this worries me. Your children, Michigan children, need to compete with children in all these other 50 states, and Michigan kids in our education system continues to lag behind. We are encouraged by the governor's efforts around literacy and some of the dollars there, and it seems to have bipartisan support. So we do think that is a good kind of first step, but certainly the work doesn't stop there.
Yeah, let me end. I mentioned the roads. Let me mention and end with the roads. They're not appreciably better today than they were 8 years ago, that I can tell. And I drive plenty, and there's enough roads in this state that'll knock your fillings loose still. And I've heard there's a proposal out there for toll roads. Is that true?
There's been a lot of discussion in Lansing over the years about toll roads. Certainly, we need the approval of the federal government on a lot of our interstates to be able to do that. I think there's some discussion about setting up some pilot programs on that. But I'm not aware of the status on that at this point. Certainly, there's been a historic investment of the roads kind of in this last budget cycle. Unfortunately, we have underinvested in our roads for so many years that these things are not going to get better overnight. But what the legislature has done, I think, is a good first step in terms of really trying to move that issue area forward.
Maybe it's just me, and I'm not sure where the conversation is either. But I think toll roads would be wildly unpopular in a day and age when the big word out there is affordability. Last word to you.
Yeah, no, we're looking forward to this November 2026 election cycle. There's lots of things still out there. We would encourage your listeners to just be very cautious when someone approaches you at the farmer's market or at a concert or otherwise to sign on to this petition to get this issue on the ballot. Ask questions, know what you're signing before you add your name. Many of these things sound good on paper or in theory, but have unintended and frankly intended consequences that are quite dangerous for our state and its future.
Wendy, always good talking to you. Appreciate the updates. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wendy Block from the Chamber. Always enjoy working with the Chamber. Got some great folks there, and we enjoy them. There you go. What would you? Here's my question to you. What would you think about toll roads? Anthony, what would you think about toll roads?
I don't want them.
I don't want them either, because toll roads in some states are just as bad as all the other roads.
Yeah, I don't want them either, Steve.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. All right, that's 3-0. Toll roads are out. 3-0. I get to vote for Ivy too, so that's 4-0. Anyhow,
I don't know. She might want them.
I never know. All right, we'll ask her. She's up next on the Steve Gruber Show. All right, back to it now. Ivy jumping back in the conversation. She does that more and more these days. She just says, I want to be on. I want to. And there she is. Beautiful Ivy joins me again.
Hello.
Hi, Ivy.
Hi, Steve.
There's still time, but it's running out.
Okay.
Because the U.S. Army just gave you an opportunity.
For what?
They raised the enlistment age to 42.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So time is tight, but if you want to join the Army, you can be an army of one.
Doesn't she still have 12 years then?
I was going to say, I thought she had more time than that. Isn't she 25?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny you guys
Forever
mentioned
young.
that. Ivy was blessed with good genetics. She looks a lot younger than she is.
Yeah.
And people in these streaming chats are like, "Is that his daughter?" No.
Oh my goodness. Oh well,
Anyhow,
thank you.
but the Army did raise the age to 42. I think the reason is it was 35, right? So now the Air Force, Space Force, Coast Guard, all will take it up to 42. And you know why that is? Because the young people in this country are not healthy enough.
Yeah, what is it? 77% of young people in America today would not be able to pass a
why?
Physical examination.
Because they're fat.
Well, yeah, obesity in this country is a horrible problem. I mean, I think it's, one in three
epidemic.
people?
So, wait, we had Dr. Robert Redfield. We talked to him yesterday for the podcast. He's coming up. It's something like 20% of elementary students now are obese. 1 in 5.
That's
Come
so
on,
sad.
people.
Well, I mean, listen, I think that it is not, I don't want to blame the parents particularly, because the food that they're giving their kids, you go to the grocery store, you buy food, you think it's fine, right?
Right.
But it is filled with so much processed garbage.
Here's what he said, and you just used the right word. Dr. Robert Redfield, who was the CDC director from 2018 to 2021 in the Trump administration, first time around.
Yeah.
He said they took two groups of people. They fed one group unprocessed food. Here's your number of calories.
Yep.
And took this group over here, same sorts of products, highly processed food, same number of calories. Those that ate highly processed food gained weight and became obese. Those that ate real food, like Kennedy says, like Bobby Kennedy says, eat real food.
Yep.
That's the ticket. Don't buy a sack of potato chips, buy a sack of potatoes.
Right. And make your own potato chips at home.
Or mashed potatoes, or whatever.
Or French fries that you can do at home.
Right. You got little things. Everybody's got these air fryers now. Make your own fries.
Right. And we live in a world of convenience, right? And we're all in a hurry all the time. So
not me.
If you're a single parent, or if you're busy parents at home and your kids have activities, you're just trying to do your best to give them something to eat, right? So you pack their lunches or whatever the case may be, and you may not have time to make breakfast in the morning. So what are they having? Generally a bowl of cereal.
Correct.
So
which is loaded with
sugar.
Exactly. So you make another great point. Redfield said, and I agree with this, but he made it simple. Obesity is a disease of the poor because the products that are provided to them by way of SNAP benefits and so forth are these products.
Right. And actually I had a soundbite, but I don't think we're going to have time to play it, of RFK saying that he is going to go directly after processed foods.
No, we've got time.
Okay. Well, Anthony, play it.
Roll it.
President Trump is the friend of the forgotten American. Obesity is a disease of poverty.
There it is again.
And these drugs have only been available for people who have wealth. At one point, the majority of prescriptions, the highest concentration of prescriptions in this country, was the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And what about the people who live in rural areas, who live in food deserts? What about the people in urban areas who live in food deserts and are suffering from obesity and are locked into that system where they can only get ultra-processed foods, which are aggravating the problem? This will be a lifesaver to them. It's not a panacea. It's not a silver bullet. President Trump has also instructed us to address and end the root causes of chronic disease, and we're doing that. We're about to release dietary guidelines that are going to change the food culture in this country. They're going to change the kind of food.
And he's doing it. That's enough.
Yeah, amen.
They're going to
right
change
there.
the kind of food.
real food.
Right.
Because something else that Redfield said that I was shocked by when it comes to these SNAP programs and school lunches, another culprit.
Yeah.
$20 billion spent on Coca-Cola and other soft drinks.
Right, and he gets RFK had suggested suggested bringing back milk.
Right.
To drink. And he got a tremendous amount of pushback
Oh,
for
they
that.
all went crazy.
Are you kidding me?
We played it here on this show.
We go through so much milk in this household. It's ridiculous. I think it's like 6 half gallons or
every couple of days.
Every week.
Well, more than that.
Drink regular or organic?
So
depends.
for myself, I prefer organic because of
I like organic too.
the process. It doesn't upset my stomach as much.
Yep.
So yes, and Costco actually has a great deal on that kind of milk.
There you go. Shout out to Costco.
It's expensive. It's good, but it's expensive.
Right. But the other thing is it lasts. If you don't use your milk in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
it's still good.
Yeah, you can get a gallon of organic milk and it'll last 2 months.
Yeah.
But if it's $7 or $8 at a regular store, like you said, if you remember at Costco, you'll get it for less.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
But this is an important topic.
is.
Don't join the Army. I was kidding about that, but just don't do that. It's too much work to be
I
done
have
here.
considered it in the past.
I know you have, so don't run off to the recruiting station. I'm so sick of Steve, I'm going to the recruiting station.
I never get sick of Steve.
Anyhow, this is a topic we need to explore more and more. I really encourage you guys to listen to Dr. Robert Redfield on Forgotten America, the podcast with me and Ivy. You can find it on YouTube. It's not there yet, but a lot of other great episodes to choose from. Ivy's doing a bang-up job. We're getting great guests with Sarah, and Anthony's doing a knockout job getting it all put together. We appreciate all the hard work, and so go check it out. Ivy, love you.
I love you. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, that Robert Redfield conversation, by far the longest we've had, and I could have gone another hour with him. I think it was like an hour and 15 minutes. I could have gone longer. He was fascinating. Admits that all the things he thought about COVID and said about COVID originally were wrong. Why don't the rest of them step up and take responsibility? It's the Steve Gruber Show. I'll be right back.
Tell us about that, Steve.
Well, first I want you to tell me about your stealing your girlfriend's car. Let's start with Anthony admitted in the break he's stealing his girlfriend's car because it gets twice the mileage of his beautiful little truck.
Well, she drives a tiny little. I mean, it's a girl car for sure, a tiny little girl car. But at even 410, what it is now, that's $60 to fill up the S10.
Right.
And it lasts the same amount of time.
How much to fill up hers?
Like $30 at these prices.
Yeah. She works from home. Steal her car.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all about that. I mentioned to Anthony, I've got a gift coming today from a friend of mine, and it's a backpack flamethrower. The real thing, not one of these little handheld deals, like the real deal. We're going to make some videos with the flamethrower, I'll tell you that.
How did this happen?
I don't know. The guy said, you should have this so you can make videos. I said, I love it. So the first thing I'm going to flame, my brackets. I'm just going to flame my brackets.
I was afraid you were going to do really bad things with that.
Well, I might.
mean bad things.
Well, hey, hold on, Brock, hold my beer. I don't know. I haven't seen the thing. I've only seen it in pictures. I've not seen it in person. But delivery is set between 1 and 5 today. I hope to see a flamethrower in my possession. And then who knows? You know, when I was a kid, we used to flame out the ants. We can flame out the ants with gusto now. You get the big ant pile in the middle of your yard that you don't want. Whatever.
Did you get a magnifying glass to burn them up?
Yeah, everybody did that. Yeah. Put your little green army men up there, burn them up, burn the ants up, have them go to war. The other thing I used to do, people don't know that, I would take and get a jar, a big mason jar, go to an anthill on one side of the yard, fill it up with these ants, and take it over to dump it on another anthill. And they'd all go to war.
Start a war. Yeah.
Absolutely. It was great. I loved it.
Nice.
This is my demented childhood. Now you all know. Ant wars at the Gruber estate. Yeah. Anyhow. That's what we should. You know what, kids, they don't do that today. You know why? They're staring at their damn device. They should be having ant wars in real, not in, cartoon style on their device. That's my takeaway for today. Anyhow, fight the good fight, keep the faith. God bless America. I'm Steve Gruber. This is the Steve Gruber Show. And remember, only you can save America.